I could see this gap that I wanted to help fill. And that's expanded a little bit into the knowledge base as well, and offering more than just financing, actually offering some knowledge and some assistance in how to handle
that. So joining me on the call today, I've got Rohan Burgess from Capital Financing. Welcome to the call, Rohan.
Thanks, David.
So maybe just start by telling us a bit about your business and the problem that you solve.
Yeah, so Capital Financing actually it came out of a need that I was understanding for cash flow. I started the business 6 years ago. It was originally just from one lender.
Yep.
I use a lot of the second and third tier lenders, cash flow invoice financing lenders and that sort of thing.
Yep.
So I started as a franchisee or a licensee for one particular company. Okay. And after talking to some clients and realizing that one option wasn't the right way to go about it, I launched Capital Financing and expanded my offerings.
Yep.
So I did a lot with cash flow finance, invoice financing, supply chain,
Gotcha.
And then got into asset finance as well. I've come out of an industry, David, that's over 30 years in finance and lending,
Gotcha.
and in cash flow management. Many years ago, I was actually in the sheriff's office. And as you can imagine, I was executing warrants to collect assets to be able to pay off debt. So I've understood about debt collection and the understanding of debt, both on a personal level and on a company level, for many years. So when I started my business, I wanted to be able to help businesses get a better handle on their cash flow, and using all that experience that I've had in that area. I identified really quickly tradies are a good source of clientele for me, as are other businesses that are struggling with that difference between. I'm probably jumping ahead of myself a little bit, but the difference between when they're paying out invoices and when they're collecting the money. So I could see this gap that I wanted to help fill. And that's expanded a little bit into the knowledge base as well, and offering more than just financing, actually offering some knowledge and some assistance in how to handle that.
So you sound pretty passionate about the financing topic. What sort of drove you to go into this particular sort of field of business?
Yeah, funny. I found myself without a job 6 years ago. The business that I was working in, which was a bank, had sold off the department that I was working in.
Yeah.
And they gave me a package, and I had an option at the age of 55 to actually go and try and find a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or start my own business. And I decided to start my own business. And it was off, as I mentioned before, about a single lender. It was off an advert that I saw from this particular lender offering franchise or license, whatever it was at that stage of the game. And initially I probably got into it thinking I could make a few dollars and be able to live my life however it might have been at that stage of the game.
Yep.
But it was still on a knowledge base. So I came out of the finance industry. I've been around the finance industry for over 30 years in a whole different range of areas, both from debt collection to sheriff's office, doing loan application, that sort of thing. So at least had some knowledge of the finance industry.
Gotcha.
I thought, why not implement that knowledge and expand on it? So I've really expanded on the business that I started back in 2016. And I rebranded as Capital Financing and I now offer a lot more than just what the one lender can offer. But just, I guess, seeing that need for knowledge in cash flow, I think as business owners, certainly somebody who knows exactly what they're doing when it comes to their particular trade, they get into business and they find themselves struggling in things like bookkeeping, understand their cash flow, doing their marketing, because that's not what they do. They enjoy doing the technical side of their job.
Yeah.
So it's about helping those businesses get a little bit of a better handle on that cash flow issue. So
gotcha. Because an old saying in business, cash flow is king, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, and that's it's one of the things I say is about turnover is vanity, profit sanity, and as you say, cash or cash flow is king. So
yeah, brilliant. So let me ask you. Obviously, before we started this call, we were talking about your objectives and your big, hairy, audacious goal, your BHAG, and I'm sort of curious. What do you consider to be the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
I don't know whether that's the best. It's certainly one of the best that I've probably have a purpose. I've spoken to business owners who don't necessarily have a purpose or a BHAG. They're just doing it to make some money. They're not business owners. They're self-employed.
Yeah.
So if you're a business owner, if you're really wanting to build it, have it. Now, my BHAG is to have 30 plus offices around Australia and New Zealand. It's just me sitting in one little office in Narre Warren at the moment. So, and it's like, how long will it ever take me to get there? I don't know. But it's something for me to work towards, and it's something I look at on a fairly regular basis. I try to write down my yearly goals in a book every day.
Yeah.
And actually writing them down instead of typing, but actually writing them down. So it's bringing to mind what is it that I'm planning to do this year? Where am I planning to go this year? So, and even this year, my BHAG is fairly big when it comes to comparing with where I've been, where I'm sitting. So getting, like as you mentioned before our call, getting out of my own way, and just applying. But I think having that purpose, to build your business,
I think it's funny you say that, because most people are scared of writing a BHAG, right? A big, hairy, audacious goal, and they go, well, that sounds ridiculous. 30 offices and you're a one-man band in Narre Warren. What are you taking? I wouldn't mind getting some, right? And but the truth of the matter is, when we do this type of goal setting, we call it visioning, right? And we say, well, if you just set a goal to double the size of your business, as your BHAG, there's no inspiration in that, right? But when you say 30 offices, it's like, that's exciting. And even if you only got half or a quarter of that, that's still 15 or 7.5 offices versus doubling.
That's right.
So
what's the saying? Aim for the stars, you'll hit the moon. Aim for the tree, aim for the trees, and you hit the ground. So make that a huge, like you said. If I never reach it, it doesn't matter. But if I'm at least working towards it, so
And this is the thinking, right? And this is the key element. When people say, well, this BHAG thing, I don't get it. Why would I set a goal that I'm never going to achieve? And it's not about the goal. It's about the thought process that you go through to facilitate the direction. And so it's a big lesson. And a lot of people battled me on this one, because I asked them about their goals and they're not big enough. And they go, well, we don't want to, what happens if we don't achieve it? And I go, it's not about achieving the goal. It's about setting the strategy based on the trajectory towards that goal, because that's what's going to give you the momentum. So it's a very valid piece of advice. Let me ask you, just on that same topic, books, podcasts that inspired you. Is there anything that sort of stands out as a...
wow. Okay.
Hard questions, eh?
Yeah, no, and too many to select from. I've actually been in business for over 30 years. I have a networking business. Network marketing business, which I never built. I always knew I was supposed to be in business, but I never built a really strong network marketing business. And it wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't a business. I think the business works for a lot of people. It just wasn't my space.
Yes.
But out of that involvement, I have attended a lot of seminars. I've listened to a lot of tapes. Used to be tapes, then CDs, and now podcasts.
Now you're showing your age, right?
I am showing my age now. No, not reel to reels, actually cassette tapes. But read a lot of books. So look, the sorts of books that I've read in the past, there's lots of books out there now, and the pile of my books, the pile beside my bed is like this, and
just
I don't read
pick
them.
one that's resonating with you right now.
Exactly.
So what comes to mind?
Look, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Some of the classics really need to be reviewed. So something like How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's also another good book called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yes.
Which is another great book. So these are they're only two out of heaps. Anything from Stephen Covey. There's all these. There's some great writers around.
Yeah, fantastic.
But some of the classics are real. How to Win Friends. Think and Grow Rich.
You just named 4 of my favourite books. But they're the ones that
resonate.
Yeah, they're the ones that have been around forever. And the interesting thing is that they've stood the test of time. So they're fundamentals that I think people, like, not only from a business point of view, but from a life point of view, are critical. So let me ask you just one last question. What would be your piece of advice to people in business right now? If you had to give one piece of advice, what would it be?
Look, I'd have to probably resonate with my business coach. It's about know your numbers.
Know your numbers?
Know your numbers. If you have a better handle on what your numbers are, then you know what your numbers are and where you want your numbers to be.
Yeah.
Then you've got something to work off. But if you don't know your numbers, you're struggling. And that goes in line with cash flow as well. It's like know your numbers, and each business has some different metrics about what they want to know.
Yeah.
But certainly things like profit and loss and balance sheet, that ties in line with the cash flow. And having a better handle on that sort of thing. So
I think in business the numbers don't lie; they tell us the truth.
That's right.
A lot of people don't want to know the truth.
That's right. I was looking at my own numbers yesterday, going, and actually, and I must admit I probably don't look at them enough, but realising that there might have been some errors in it, so I need to go back and review that. So if you know your numbers on a regular basis, you can pick up errors. You can also know where you want to go. So
yeah, fantastic. Rohan, look, thanks so much for your time today. Just wanted to sort of mindful of time, but really appreciate your input and having the conversation. So thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Thanks for the opportunity.